Hi, this is Megan Jacks, and I am here with sketch number 2 from the April 2023 Creative Memories Virtual Crop. So on the first page of our sketch, the PDF, you can see we have the two single page layouts, and I'm going to be working, as I mentioned, with sketch number 2, so it's the one here on the right. And I decided to jump with this one because I had the perfect photos to go with it. I just printed a bunch of photos from our Palm Springs trip that we took right over Christmas break. And I've got some fun photos of my husband with Cody in the pool. And there was these little action shots that I had of Cody diving down to try to retrieve some diving toys in the pool. And they were going to work perfect to be able to do these smaller squares. So you can see here in the sketch, they want us to use these 3x3 squares as the size they recommend. You can adjust that as you need to. They show squares. You could change that to circles, use a custom cutting system to crop those down. That's an easy way to do it. It'd be a fun little dimension there if you wanted to add those in doing the custom cutting system. But I'm going to be using squares. I have my corner rounder available just in case I want it. I'll talk about that more in a little bit on that aspect of that design choice of why I might use it. But I have already cut some of my photos down. I've got 3 of my 4 square photos done. And then I had 2 horizontal photos of my husband and Cody together that I've already cut down to their recommended sizes of 5.5 by 3.5. I am not going to be adjusting the sizes too much on this layout because what they've got works great for me. So I don't not even going to try to adjust the bones of it because I don't need to. Once I get the actual structure all put together, I can make any adjustments, especially coming into some of the details. They always use a few more embellishments than I typically use. I do have a border punched with a Kissing Fish. I might use that. I'm not sure. I love Kissing Fish border maker cartridge, so I thought I'll punch it just in case. But one of the things I wanted to talk about with the cutting the photos down to size is Creative Memories had these wonderful templates that they gave out that were available. I think they are sold out on the website. They're the photo tracing templates, and they came in a little envelope. Let me show you here. The photo trimming templates. So there was, I think, 4 different sizes in here, and they do make it really easy for you to figure out what size you can easily trim your photos down to. So this, as you can see right there on that corner, says 3x3. My photos here are supposed to be 3x3. So this is perfect. So what I did is I've got one here. I still need to trim this down to size. I took this across all my photos to make sure that it would work with a 3x3. Now, you can also use the Creative Memories rulers. We've had some wider rulers that work to do something similar. This is it's 3 inches wide by 12 long ruler that they came out with a couple years ago. I think right now on the website, this shape is done with our zero centering ruler. You can accomplish the same thing using the zero center ruler. If you want, you can also consider getting a 6x12 quilting ruler. I actually love my 6x12 quilting ruler. It is easy for me to come in here. I can see there's 3 inches, there's 3 inches, and I can just measure and I can look and see that, yep, I can get that to work. But if I've got my photo measuring template here, I can put it on here, line it up, and then I use the photo labeling pencil to come in here and mark. And I'm only going to mark the one corner because I'm going to use my personal trimmer to take this down to 3x3. So I just need to give myself the 2 different edges. So I've got the bottom edge and the right edge to do that. So now I'm going to grab my personal trimmer. I prefer to cut my photos with a personal trimmer. A tip here, I know when people use the personal trimmer, if that's what you're using, I have the older style, it's the darker blue, but it's similar. The new ones are the same style, just a different color. Is you want to make sure when you lift your arm up all the way that you can slide your photo up here all the way to the top and you can slide it completely under. See, there's no resistance. I can go straight across. If my arm is down a little bit, my photo gets stuck. I can't push it all the way over. That's how I know I need to raise my arm up even higher and then I can push it through. So don't come in from below. You want to always push up to the top and slide over. Because if you come in from below the angle here and you come in like this, you may think that you're getting everything lined up. And then when you go to cut, you realize, oh, my arm could have come up a little higher and I could have adjusted that size. So that was my tip for cutting with a personal trimmer. I always just make sure I come up here to the top and I slide into position so that I know that I have cleared the arm, and this arm isn't going to cause anything to be out of whack. Line up here so I can see my pencil line and go ahead and trim. There's my pencil line. I'm going to slide this over, line it up there, and trim. Now, I need to make it so that it's 3 inches this way and 3 inches that way. So we'll come here, slide it over. All of my photos for this one, I covered up the white line of the 3 inches all the way. That's how I'm going to make sure everything is the same size. And it looks like here, I'm actually going to cut a little bit because I don't want to chop off his toes. I can actually see that I'm getting really close to cutting off his toes. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to give myself a little bit more space, and then I'll turn this around and cut off the other side. So just making that little bit of adjustment. This is why I like the personal trimmer, because I can make these tiny little adjustments and get these little slivers, and the personal trimmer handles them like a pro. Now I'll come over to, I need to cut this edge off. There's my pencil line. I can see my photo labeling pencil. I'll come over to this side, and that's what I'm going to cut off. So there is my 4th photo that I cut down to that square. So that's all I wanted to be able to show you with using the personal trimmer to get my photos down to size. Now the rest of this is just going to be putting together the layout based on their sketch dimensions. So I am using the Serene Waters collection. There's some pieces of this that I think work really well for swimming pools. It's not just for the water or like the ocean and lakes and such. I love this pattern. It really makes me think of pool tiles. So I'm going to be using this, give me some of that orange in there. My background paper is going to be this light, kind of has a little bit of a scallop look to it. The opposite side, if you're looking at the Serene Waters paper, is the fish. And actually, as I put this together, I'll be able to choose, just in case I decide I want to flip it over and use the fish. I don't think I will, because I think it's going to have just a little too much pattern going on. And for the layout, I'm going to be using my squares for my sidebars here, where they have these darker gray columns. I'm going to be using this paper. I'm going to use the orange in the middle. So this orange paper here, it says it is 6 by 12. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this paper in half at 6 inches. Give this a trim at 6 inches. I will go ahead, while I have my trimmer out, I'm going to cut these, and it says I'm going to cut those to a 1/2 inch each. So I trim that down. 1/2 inch is that first solid line just to the right of the gray mat. And what I'm going to do here is I am going to make sure when I'm cutting this, I'm paying attention to my pattern a little bit. So this first cut I'm going to do is going to be just fine. You can see here, see I cut off that edge, and I've got nice even borders. Now, if I were to cut it now and do a 1/2 inch, I'm going to end up with that pattern. It's going to look a little weird. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim over just a little bit to get rid of this white vertical grout line. So I'm going to be cutting off just about 1/8 of an inch, maybe a little bit more. So cut out all that white that I didn't want to have be part of my column, and I'll come over here and cut that 1/2 inch again, and I'm going to be cutting down this, so it's going to be very similar to this piece here. So that's the kind of little detail that you can pay attention to. So now my 2 strips look very, very similar to each other rather than having the pattern be off. So that's going to work great. So now it kind of comes down to, I can just start to dry fit some of these pieces together. I can just make sure that I like my pattern, that everything looks good. There's some embellishment details I haven't quite worked out. Like I said, I punched a border if I wanted to use it, but here's my photos. Not sure if I'm going to have the guys here at the bottom. There's the photo of the both of them at the top, the two of them together there. And then I have a little bit of an order. So here he is. Here's Cody looking to spot his, the dive toys. If you guys, your kids ever use those, Cody really, we just started using, I found them. We had them in a bag and I had misplaced them, and I found them, took them with us to Palm Springs. So he'd have something to kind of go after there. And I'm just placing them, kind of just using the visual reference here to how they have those. And then here he is diving to the bottom. Now, I would love to say that I have the picture of him coming up successfully from the top with his collected prize, but unfortunately, he really struggled. He did not like opening his eyes underwater, and this was one of our first pool experiences when we first got to the place where we were staying, and we didn't have his goggles. So he was just doing it by feel and really struggling. But anyway, we have him going down to grab those, or try to grab them. I wasn't gonna let the fact that I didn't have a successful picture of him with those dive sticks stop me from scrapping the layout. So here we go. So I've got this as such. Part of what I'm doing here is I'm checking my spacing. Do I want to have these bars overlap or just a butt next to? I probably will have them overlap ever so slightly. I think that just gives a better visual. And I'll put those on. And then, like I mentioned, I have a little bit of I might go ahead and cut some fish to come right across there. They show a title in the middle here, and I think I'm going to go ahead and work my title into another spot. Partly because I'm not 100% sure how much journaling I'm going to have here, just because this is part of a larger set of images. I'm going to have lots of other places we'll have talked about of going to the pool and all the fun we had. And so don't think I need to journal too much. And I can work in my title, maybe even up here, and then still have plenty of room for journaling there and having this fish detail across the middle. So I think that is going to be my plan. Yeah, because I think I can actually, because it's 6 inches, right? This middle piece is 6 inches. So I can fit 3 sets of the kissing fish right across that orange piece. So that's going to work perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere these photos in first. Because remember, I mentioned, I think I'm going to overlap these pillars just slightly over my my orange paper. So what I want to do is I want to get those fish placed before I put everything else on. And I think to place the fish, I need to get my big photos put on. And then I'll put the fish on there, and then I'll cut off the extra fish. And then I will be able to put everything together. So I know the fish are going to come just below. Let me just scoot that out of the way. The fish are just going to come just below this top picture. So I'm going to flip up my mat down here. I'm going to put on some repositionable adhesive across the back. So I'm going to go from this tail across to that tail. And put this on. Centering it the best I can. And I'll grab a pair of scissors. And snip this off. Now this piece I will go ahead and adhere to the I'm going to put it onto the background page. And when I put this over, I'm not going to overlap it by much. It's just going to ever so slightly go over. I think it's just going to give, then I don't have to worry about everything being completely tight next to each other. Just a tiny overlap, just a smidge. And I'll do the same on the other side. And now what I'm going to do before I put on my photos, I showed it to you square, the photos square. Now the thing I've got going on is these little squares that are on this mosaic paper are ever so slightly, they kind of show almost like a rounded corner. It's probably harder for you to see and on camera, but I could come in here and I could round the corners if I wanted to, or maybe I won't. I think I scooted things over just a little bit more maybe than I intended to, but I'm not going to worry about it. Got lots of room to be able to put a title. I actually think I am. I'm going to go ahead and round all the corners, especially on these squares. I think it'll be a fun detail. Just kind of mimics the pool tiles. I went through and pulled out the stickers that go with Serene Waters. I'm not sure that I saw any there that I was really looking at that I'm going to add. They show some overlapping of the photos. I'm not going to worry about that too much. I think I will come in and just pull these photos up real quick, and I'm going to round their corners too. Round just all my corners. I don't normally round all the corners in my layouts. I know some people still use the corner rounder very frequently, almost in quite a few of their layouts, and it's just not. To get that I had a little spot where it wasn't quite overlapping. It looked a little funny. So now we'll do this one up here at the top. So as I mentioned, this is sketch number 2. I'm not really going real fancy with it. No special techniques this time. But sometimes it's just nice to, when a sketch just works perfect, right? It's telling you exactly what to do. You don't have to think about it. Or the thinking that you have to do is more along the creative thinking, which can be fun, right? You're just you're not doing a lot of like, how do I make this work? You're just like, how do I make this fun? And so that it's mine for my photos. How do I make it personal? So I think that's kind of what I'm going to do there. So I'm going to grab some adhesive. I'm going to use repositionable for this first with these photos, just because I want to be able to easily lift them up if I need to make some adjustments. I'm not pressing them down super hard either at the moment. I'm going to let myself get everything placed, and then I will push everything firmly into place. Just take a peek at things. Give that one a little bit more space. I think that's good. So then I'll come in here and just push things down. Now obviously I've got some room in here to be able to add some of those details. They come in with some various embellishment details, all the journaling. They put the title here. There's room for a title up at the top. I pulled the new tangerine stickers that were part of the Totally Tonals tangerine. I also have the Island Waters ones that I can choose from. Not all the orange tones are the right kind of tones to go with this, but I really did like, there was this one that said today was the best, and I thought that was super cute. So I'll probably come in here with this. It's kind of this pale orange that works really well for that. And there are just other ones that I'll go through, all these little phrases and things here. So just trying to figure out which ones would work that if I wanted to include. So I am going to play around a little bit with this, I think, and see if I want to do some more embellishments, get the title put on here. That's always kind of nice to get that title put in. I'll come in either at the top or at the bottom here with that title and leave a spot for some journaling, maybe come in with another couple stickers that work really well as such. I also could come in, I have some more of my fish. If I wanted to come in and include more fish at the top and the bottom, I certainly could do that, and that would help take up just a little bit more space if I wanted to balance that out. I'm actually thinking that might be a great option to come in with that fish at the top and the bottom here. If I felt that it needed to carry over here to almost act as if there's a fish border going underneath this orange section. So I'm going to do some of those finishing details. As I've mentioned before, it takes me a little while to do all that. At the very end of this video, it'll flash with the final layout so you guys can see what I came up with. So I hope you have a chance to put together layout number 2 or sketch number 2 from the virtual crop. Remember, if you share it into the Creative Memories virtual crop group, to use the hashtag. The hashtag is listed right above the sketch on the PDF, and you'll be entered into the drawing. They have all the deadline information right on that PDF. It's also in the blog direction. If you need the blog link, it'll be in the description of this video, so you can head right over to the Creative Memories blog to get all the details. So thanks so much for watching.